Isiah Factor Uncensored starts now.
Welcome to The Factor Uncensored. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a great program planned for you. Now, imagine this scenario. You have an 800 credit score. You make over $100,000 a year, and you've never been evicted. So why can't some people find a place to rent? It's a disturbing trend, one realtor says, we're seeing in the city of Houston and around the country. Tonight, we focus on rental roadblocks.
Now to join us here on The Factor Uncensored, we have real estate expert Shad Bogany, who's here to talk about renters and many of the issues they face and which path they should take to have a more peaceful life. So, Sharon, about 100 million Americans, and I didn't know the number was this high, are renters in this country. About 40% of them are living in single-family homes, and another 40+% are living in multi-family housing units or apartments. So that's a lot of people renting, first of all.
It sure is. And we currently have about 7,000 houses for rent in the greater Houston area.
So there is a lot of space out there. But think about the size of the city of Houston, 6 million people, 7,000 is not a lot. But there's also the suburbs and all of those areas where it's available. So when you talk about renting in America in 2026, what are some of the biggest problems people are finding out there?
I think there's a lot of discrimination going on in the rental market, Isaiah. And some of the discrimination is, keep in mind, we've got a lot of people from other countries who bought property here, and their thought process about rentals, they're asking tenants today to have 650, 700 credit scores before they would even look at their applications. So what happens in the discrimination side, you could be perfect. You send your driver's license over and they look at it and then they determine that they don't want to rent to you, or you may not be the person they want. And it's no way, because they could just say, hey, we took another one. It's a huge discrimination, and there's no way to really fight it unless you really catch it early.
But you can't figure it out. I mean,
No.
you're not there in the process of them screening your application and looking physically at your ID.
Right. And I've had instances where had a stewardess. The stewardess had making $100,000 a year. She had 800 credit scores out in the Woodlands. The landlord was thrilled to have her, and when we sent the driver's license over, they said they decided to go in a different direction.
Wow. And that's all the explanation
That's all they have
to do in a free market like this.
Right. And so I think that's a big issue. The other issue for renters, especially those who are on vouchers, Section 8 vouchers, the other issue there is a lot of these landlords will not take these vouchers. That's why the list is so long, because the landlords have been fed bad information. Oh, you don't want anybody on Section 8. But to me, your rent is guaranteed every month. And a lot of these people have taken a long time to get on Section 8 housing. And so once they get on, they pretty much try to take care of the property. The other issue that we have for renters, if you've ever been evicted and it shows up on your credit report, I can almost guarantee you will never be able to lease to somebody who takes care of their properties, because landlords, that's a big issue, is evictions, and they just won't take it. Even during COVID, we've had people say it was COVID, I lost my job, that's why I got evicted. Landlords don't care. What I found is that evictions is like cancer in the real estate, and it's almost a definite no. I don't care if you've gotten back on your feet.
And is it a problem that too many individuals, people, are making these decisions and not maybe companies or corporations? Or are you getting the same from both. Like when people make mistakes in their lives, then people say, okay, well, let's give them a second chance. A company will say, let's give this person a second chance.
So companies typically has a corporate policy. This is the only thing that we take, where you might be able to write a letter to an individual, explain your situation, and they may go along with it just because you have the opportunity to explain it. Corporate is black and white. This is what our rules are. If you don't meet the criteria that we're looking for, we won't take you. And the corporate are much more expensive than the individuals in most cases.
And is there anything that you can do as a person who's looking to rent? There was a time in America where many people would turn to HUD or the Justice Department asking for an investigation if they see blatant discrimination in some form or fashion, whether it is your race, whether it's your gender, whether it's sexual orientation. But those avenues have been essentially erased or limited now.
The rules are still in place. The problem is there's no enforcement, okay? But the rules, Isaiah, are still there.
And for those who don't understand, there's no enforcement. I want you to go into that because that is a reflection of our current political climate. But first, Shad, we're going to take a break here. And we're going to come back and continue this very important discussion because it affects at least a third of our population in this country, 100 million people. We'll continue to talk about the problems that are facing many renters in this country in 2026 with Shad Bogny. We'll be back with more Factor in just a moment. And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. We're talking to real estate expert Shad Bogany about many of the problems and obstacles that renters face here in America in 2026. I think about a third of Americans, 100 million, are now renting. And so when they face these problems, like a owner who doesn't want to rent to people of color, what legal recourse do they have? Obviously, we've talked about HUD, we've talked about the Justice Department, and many people simply don't have the resources to file a lawsuit, to fight this. So what choice do they have?
They don't have any choices. They don't have any recourse unless they can undeniably prove that this is what the problem is. And it would go not only in color, but it could be transgender, it could be because you're gay, it could be any of those reasons. And you don't really have any recourse in renters. Renters are very much at the beck and call of the landlord. And if he doesn't want you, he doesn't want you. And You know, and you got to prove that, and it's hard to prove because it could be anything on your credit report. Now they're asking for 3 times your rent. So if an average rent in a home in
What
Houston,
does that mean, though? Explain that. 3 times
okay,
your rent. To do what with 3 times your rent?
you have to have that sort of income. So if
Okay.
I'm asking $2,000 a month, a lot of these land, I would say most of them require you to be bringing in at least $6,000 in that household for you to pay $2,000 a month in rent. You're probably easy, and that's on single family. You're probably, if I'm a tenant, it's probably easier for me to rent an apartment than it is to rent a single family house, because the apartments are overbuilt, and they're, now you're beginning to see they're paying an extra amount of rent. You get a little bit more, it may be easier for you to be able to rent something, especially if you had an eviction and you had a good reason for it. I don't see landlords in single family accepting your reason, where in an apartment building, they may be more open to it, because they've got to rent those units out.
That's not a bright future when the picture that you paint for renters in America, especially if you are a renter, a person of color, then you're facing obstacles that you probably had no idea, especially if you're young, going into the world, leaving college or leaving home, and you're expecting to rent your first place, and you wonder why I can't seem to get a leg up in getting a property or renting a property, and it's the old school method of discrimination,
Right.
and you're left powerless.
You are, and the only way to really fix it is make sure your credit is in good condition, and rent something.
But you're saying you could be perfect. You can have a great income. You can have, great credit. And then they see that black ass face on that ID, and the deal is off.
Well, my opinion is that if you got good credit, you shouldn't be renting, period. It's going to be cheaper for you to build wealth by home ownership. And you don't have to buy your dream home. Buy something to get in, and then you work your way up.
Got it. So that's the bottom line. But man, Shad, you've depressed me today.
It's tough out here. It's tough out here, Isiah, for renters. And if you had an eviction, so now when somebody calls me about leasing something, the first thing I ask them, have you had any evictions? Mm-hmm. No, I don't have it. Then we continue the conversation. You have eviction, ma'am, nobody's going to rent to you. Sorry.
Wow. It's that simple in many instances. Simple.
Yeah.
Unless you find an individual you can write a letter to. For those who are looking for guidance, Shad, can they come to you? Where should people go if they're looking for guidance in dealing with the ups and downs and maneuvering through the world of renting?
I would suggest you hire a professional. And you can call us. I don't personally do rentals myself, but I have a team.
You're discriminating now, Shad.
No. It's just that I've got so much coming in. I strictly work with the homeowners.
Find a realtor out there, and many of them are agent, and they do rentals as well, and they can guide you. Well, Shad Bogany, thank you for your time. You've thoroughly depressed me. And we appreciate your guidance and the knowledge, because you're very experienced in the industry, and you know what's going on out there. We appreciate your time here on The Factor Uncensored, and we'll be back with more Factor in just a moment.
This program is being brought to you by Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. According to the critics out there, over the last year and a half, we've seen the watering down of the Voting Rights Act, equal opportunity, and the decimation of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we brought in civil rights activist Bishop James Dixon to give us the latest on civil rights in America in 2026.
Joining us now here on The Factor Uncensored, we have with us Bishop James Dixon, president of the NAACP and civil rights activist icon here in the city of Houston. We have seen a change in the winds when it comes to civil rights in this country, beginning in 2025. We have seen the dismantling of part of the Voting Rights Act. Equal opportunity, diversity, equity, and inclusion have all become dirty words, and the Justice Department is all but disappeared when it comes to taking action about racism and unfair treatment in this country, according to some, Bishop Dixon. Your thoughts on the future of the civil rights movement and civil rights in general in this country?
Well, first of all, Isaiah, let me thank you for such an insightful and timely conversation, because if there were ever a time we should be addressing this subject, it's right now, in view of the facts that you just articulated. The Voting Rights Act has been all but gutted. It is on life support, barely hanging on. We look at all of the landmark legislations that were passed, laws that were passed during the Civil Rights Movement. It's all but gone. Voting Rights Act, you're dealing with the Civil Rights Act is on the chopping block now. And of course, we're also dealing with DEI, no affirmative action, and the Fair Housing Act. All of these are under attack as we speak. And it is necessary for us to remember that the things that really made the Civil Rights Movement what it was or what it became was changes in the law. Martin Luther King Jr. and his team, his colleagues, were able to leverage public pressure and moral authority to convince then President Johnson, Kennedy, and others to change laws. So we got the Voting Rights Act and Civil Rights Act because these laws changed. The Fair Housing Act, that's a law that changed, that gave us better access to the polls, better access to economic opportunity and educational opportunity. Remember, Brown versus Board of Education, that dealt with a law. We are in an environment now where the Department of Public Ed is under attack and being dismantled, voter rights being dismantled, democracy itself is being dismantled. So the very apparatus that was used to gain these rights and to change these laws, democracy, is itself being dismantled. That's what's at stake here. And so the civil rights movement going forward has to take into account, what do you do now if we lose democracy? If we insert what looks like now a regime that's committed to fascism and to a dictatorship, then even democracy itself does not become a tool by which we can regain the rights and the laws that we have lost.
Talk about a possible dictatorship, an authoritarian system. We have Congress in place. So what is Congress doing? Are you asking that? You know, what should Congress be doing now? The checks and balances of the system that made this country great and where we are now. Is it a do-nothing Congress? Is it a benign Congress that we're dealing with?
Well, certainly we've got to deal with the fact that we've got the midterm elections coming up that's going to make a major difference. If there is the consciousness of Americans to vote this coming November to flip the House and the Senate, then Congress and the Senate gains more teeth. This is a very serious issue because it seems at this point, for the most part, this president and this MAGA regime, this fascist regime, has the momentum on their side in terms of the numerical imbalance in the Congress and in the Senate. That has to change.
Take a break here, Bishop Dixon, and come right back with you and continue this conversation in the Factor Uncensored, where we talk about the state of civil rights in this country. We'll be back with more Factor in just a moment. And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. We're talking with Bishop James Dixon, president of the NAACP and civil rights activist here in the city of Houston. Many people are asking what will happen to civil rights in the future. One of the things you talked about is, there has been a change in this country, and many of the advances that we've seen in civil rights have been rolled back. But when you take a look at, and then you put the blame squarely at the feet of the Trump administration. But when you take a look at the election, people voted for President Trump. They said, this is what we wanted. Do you think they weren't clear? What? Is this the America that they wanted because a majority of people voted for President Trump rather than Kamala Harris?
I tell you what's alarming is that I don't think that Donald Trump is the problem. I think he is a symptom and a manifestation of a problem. The reality is over 78 million people, I think was, voted for this change. And the majority of those people voted for this change because they are looking for any answer that enables them to hold on to white male dominance and white male power in this nation. Kamala Harris was a victim of the modern manifestation of systemic racism in America. There is no measurement logically, practically, intellectually by which she should not have won that race. There's just no measurement. Academically, professionally, experientially, judicially. The woman has worked in every way that you can imagine to have proven her capacity, her competence, and her character. And here we had an individual who had deficits in all of those areas. But the majority of Americans, 70 plus million Americans, voted because even though they knew they could not check those boxes we just named, Isaiah, the one thing Kamala Harris lacked is she was not a white male Protestant face. That's alarming.
Also, we saw an increase in the number of black male voters and Latino male voters and black male voters voting. So,
well, I think that bump in those areas, particularly in the African-American community, was absolutely an anomaly. I don't think that that's going to be the case in the future. I think that even with the Latino votes, they now understand. They voted for their own family members to be deported, to be inhumanely treated. The shooting of Lorenzo Sagado Araujo here in Houston, the shooting in Maine. Now people are understanding that, wait a minute, this regime really is despotic and dehumanizing people to the point that I don't think that they're going to have the support. In fact, the polls presently show that the majority of Americans don't support the actions of this administration, which is why they fear the outcome of a fair election. Interestingly, of course, the president has already indicated that if these seats are flipped in November, it's because the election was rigged. I mean, they cannot stand the thought of a fair election outcome. So I think that's to our advantage. I don't think we're going to see that same bump in young black men voting for this regime in November. Neither Latino vote the same. I think that's going to dissipate. But I think what we do have to be concerned about is how a despotic regime is going to respond should they lose. Now, the bottom line is, we've got to all make sure people of conscience and competence go out to vote.
We appreciate your time with this report card on civil rights in 2026 and giving us an update here on The Factor. Thank you, sir.
You're watching the Isiah Factor Uncensored.
Welcome back to The Factor Uncensored, and thank you for hanging around with us for this second half hour. Now, there is a new trend out there, like there is always a trend on social media. We're talking about people who can't stop scrolling on their cell phones, and they admit they may be addicted. But our experts say you could end up in a dark place because of a thing called doom scrolling. Let's get to that conversation tonight.
And joining us now here on The Factor Uncensored to address the topic many of us go through, we simply don't know how to put down those damn cell phones. I mean, it could be in the middle of the night, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You're preparing to go to sleep, and you cannot put down that phone, and before you know it, hours have passed. So Dr. Jasmine Boone is here to help us with this and tell us what she's seen out there. You've seen patients who said they just can't put down the phone. They're scrolling and they're messing with themselves.
Yes, even if that is not the primary reason that they're coming into our sessions, lately, for the last few months, maybe even last year or so, what I'm noticing so much is that at some point my patients will express a frustration with how much they're scrolling.
And so what do you tell these people? How do you even address that?
Yeah, so we first explore like what's going on. Like, is this some type of escapism for you? Is this kind of like an addiction for you? Even in the terms of like doom scrolling, which is a little bit different in that, you know, you are overly consuming negative, distressing content. When I see a lot of clients are taking on a lot of doom scrolling, that has a way heavier psychological and emotional impact. So we start to explore like, why are you doing that? And often what we find is, you know, with the way of the world and all that's going on, people are wanting to stay in the know, right? Because if I can know what's going on, I can stay ahead of it and I can prevent it from showing up at my doorstep. And it creates this kind of like cyclical pattern of, okay, I need to know what's going on, but now that I know what's going on, I'm anxious. And so now I need to know what's going on some more so I can stay in front of it. And so we have to first know why we're scrolling so much, especially doom scrolling, and then we can start to break the habit. We can start to pull away a little bit.
You know, Dr. Boone, I had to establish with many of my friends on social media, and I actually told them, and some thought I was being an asshole, but I said, do not send me any racism. Do not send me any fighting. Do not send me any violence on social media, because I'm the type of person, if I see that in the morning, it sets the tone for my day. And I'm stuck in that rut. I'm mad, I'm angry, and I don't even know why. Just go with me. I saw it. And so it becomes a nightmare for me if I digest all of that in the morning, you know? And so I have to tell friends, I have to set boundaries, as you guys would say. I have to set boundaries. Do not send me this unless it's for news, and I say after 2 p.m. Let me start my day. Let me start my day first. Let me be happy.
See, I would imagine you get that all the time because people are like, you need to see this. You need to see this. And you're right. I mean, honestly, how you start the day dictates how your day goes. And so for people who are empaths that kind of take on a lot of stuff really easily, anxious people, or people who like just don't want to be dragged throughout the day, you don't want to start your day with that. Like, as humans, we really shouldn't be seeing negative, harmful, violent things on a real constant. That is going to impact you in some way negatively. And so you don't want yourself to be seeing all of this, and then people are sending it to you, and in the morning, you are doing good with setting those boundaries.
It reminds me of movies, psychological warfare, and they would fire a soldier down and make them look at violent videos all day. That's the reason they do that. And now you do it, we do it on our own.
Hey, teach me something, Isiah. I had never considered what we're doing. on some websites, on some social media platforms, you can see someone ending their life. You can see someone getting beat up really brutally. And those are kind of things we shouldn't have access to just readily available at our fingertips. That should be torturous to our mind.
And you know what? You brought up a term that I realized what I am. That's why I had to stop watching it. You said empath. And I always thought, okay, is that like I got a superpower? But I realized what it was. You take on other people's energy, and you
Yeah.
take on other situations. And I realized that like just 6 months ago, I said, that's who I am.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
take all of that in, and so I had to stop doing it.
You
You
have to.
know,
You
and
have to.
someone gave me, or at least I saw a video, and they said, when you wake up in the morning, don't let the phone be the first thing that you look at.
Mhm.
Take a look, walk outside, look at the sun, look at the sky.
Mhm.
And I do that, and I feel way much better.
Yeah.
I still get to that damn phone,
You
but
have
it's
to.
like maybe an hour or two when I get to the gym later. But
That's
I don't
so
start
important.
my day out that way.
Yeah.
And for those who are looking for a way out, what would you suggest? We're going to get to that with you. This is almost like my therapy with you as well.
I got
Dr. Boone, we're going to take a break here so you can help the people out there and not just me. We'll be back with more Factor Uncensored in just a moment. And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. We have with us Dr. Jasmine Boone, and she's talking about how many people are now, in some instances, finding themselves addicted to scrolling on social media and the problems that you could face as a result of that. So, for those who are looking for a way out and they simply can't stop, the fear of missing out on something on social media, how would you guide those people, Dr. Fu?
Yeah, first and foremost, I would say be realistic and take baby steps. Now, if you scroll, 9 hours a day, it is unrealistic to say, okay, we'll just stop cold turkey, right? Because at some point, this has become habitual and maybe even addiction, right? And so, if we're starting slow and if we're starting easy, I would say, let's change our algorithm. Right. At least, be mindful of what you're consuming. If you're going to consume something 9 hours a day, consume something that helps you learn or helps you be more positive, more productive. So let's start with being mindful of what we're consuming in the day. That would be my first step for any client, right? Then I would take it down to, hey, if you are scrolling 4 or 5 hours a day, let's cut it down to 3. Right. And let's see what that feels like. And you have to pay attention to like what I'm experiencing. What are my withdrawals? How often do I still reach for my phone after that 3rd hour? Right. We have to pay attention to what this behavior of withdrawal looks like. But we want to start slowly but surely taking away the behavior, right, which is scrolling, and try to replace it with something positive or neutral, even if it's for now watching TV. And then maybe it's not watching TV, but I'm watching a documentary, right? So we replace it with something that's more insightful, impactful in a positive way. So you start with changing the algorithm, and then little by little, incrementally, we want to change the amount of time that we're giving to our social media scrolling.
And you also have to make a conscious effort not to touch that phone because it's such a habit for many of us. We get up, you haven't even taken a shower yet. Let me check your phone.
Yeah.
Check your phone.
Yeah, it's a habit.
We think about it, know.
Without we're filling our still times, we're filling our quiet time with like, oh, phone. Oh, I don't have anything to do. Phone. I'm driving. Phone, right? You can catch people like kind of scrolling at a red light because we have now become uncomfortable with just sitting and being and doing nothing. So we fill it with scrolling. And so we have to be mindful. And even if you grab your phone and you're not supposed to, forgive yourself, put it down. And you may have to do that 18 times in a 20-minute period. But that's just what we're starting with. Let's see where it ends up in a month, 2 months from now.
All right, Dr. Jasmine Boone, great help for me. You're a free counseling session, and it was formation when you said empath. I'm like,
yes, right? Yeah.
So don't put that phone first thing in the morning, guys. You heard it from Dr. Boone. Do like I do. Go outside, see the sun, see the sky, enjoy it. Whether you believe in God or not, thank God for the day.
Yes.
And then maybe a couple hours later, you can get on your phone. But don't make it a habit.
It makes
it really quick. Change the algorithm by searching for something else and not stopping on that negative stuff.
Yes.
Then it'll kind of go away. It'll dissipate.
And lastly, for my impasse, it's going to hit you way heavier than it hits the others. So be mindful of that. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's you.
That's you.
Dr. Jasmine Boone, thank you for your time. And of course, I'm sure we've helped people out there.
I hope
appreciate you. All right, and we'll be back with more Factor Uncensored in just a moment.
Now you can watch the best moments of The Factor on demand. Download the Fox Local app on any of the following smart TV platforms and get in on the action.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. If you're like me, you probably do the same thing. If you feel a pain in your neck or in your back, you tend to take a Tylenol or aspirin and just pray for the best and hope that it goes away. But one doctor says you simply shouldn't ignore that pain. It could be a sign that something else is going on. Let's talk about it tonight.
Joining us now here on The Factor Uncensored to talk about this problem affecting millions of Americans. I think, Dr. Ali, more than 60 million, 65 million Americans in some form or fashion suffer with some type of back pain. Not sure if that's chronic back pain, but that is a lot of people. And you're saying the pain that you feel could be sending you more than just a message of pain. There could be signs of other things that are going on.
That's correct, Isiah. Yeah, over 65 million Americans suffer from some sort of pain-related issue, whether it's back pain, neck pain, joint pain. And out of those, 16 million of them have chronic pain. And chronic pain meaning that it has gone over 3 months time frame and has lingered on. Isiah, one of those things is pain is your body telling you that something is wrong, okay? Mm-hmm. And that needs to be taken seriously because that pain may be a result of something else that's happening that needs to be explored further. Okay.
Okay. So if someone comes to you, just give me a steroid shot or just give me a pain pill, you would say what to that?
Pump the brakes right there, Isiah. That's what I would say to them and say, listen, we need to figure out where this pain is coming from, why you're having this. It's your body's way of telling you something is wrong and we need to correct it. It may be as simple as posture or it may be as bad as cancer. So it's anywhere in between that we need to, as medical professionals, ask the right questions, get the right imaging, examine the patient, and determine which option or what do we think is really going on.
And many of us are at a point in our lives where we say we can just deal with the pain. For those, and that's because there's a psychological reason, because we're afraid to go to the doctor and get that diagnosis. So what advice or what words, what wisdom, Dr. Ali, can you provide to those who can't get over that hump of going to the doctor in fear of being diagnosed with a life-ending illness like me?
Isiah, the best piece of advice I can give is if we can capture this early enough, if we can identify the source, the problem, we can treat it earlier in downstream ratifications can be avoided, right? I.e. blood pressure, right? If you maintain high blood pressure for an extended period of time, there is a chance, a risk that you may develop a stroke, right? And so if we can treat it earlier and get your blood pressure in control, modify some of those risk factors, i.e. tobacco, weight loss, all of those things, we can prevent something, we can delay some of these things.
Dr. Danish Ali, thank you for joining us in this valuable information on pain and how serious it can be, even if you're able to endure it and live with it. It could be a sign of something more serious, as scary as cancer. Of course, you want to get that checked out with your doctor. Dr. Danish Ali, Arch Point Pain Institute, thank you for joining us, and we'll be back with more Factor Uncensored in just a moment.
Welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. It's all the rage on social media, and I've always wanted to see it. So we take you into that house that many people are intrigued by in Houston's 3rd Ward, Riverside Terrace area. You know the one. It looks like a castle. Let's take you inside. So guys, ever since I moved to Houston, I've been trying to get into this house. I'm finally here at the Houston Towers. How did you guys get this place?
Well, it was all unexpected, I would say. We were in the construction business and worked on the properties in this area. And one day I drove by and I saw this place and I said, wow, that's something unbelievable. The place was empty, the door was cracked open, so I was able to come inside. And when I saw this thing, my jaw dropped. I never expected to see such a beauty inside the place. On the outside, it looks very unusual, to say the least. But when you get in, you see this elaborate woodwork, and I immediately realized that somebody spent an enormous amount of time putting it all together. You know?
And so you guys came in and did some renovations to what was already here, to the bones. How far did you go with renovations in this house? And how much work did you have to put into it? And how long did it take?
Well, let me answer your last question. It took us 2 years. From the day we started until the day we finished, it took us 2 years. And the part of the house that we're staying in right now was finished by Charlie. We've done some changes.
So this is not a private residence. You guys have turned this in your company, you've turned this into what?
We've turned it into what you see now. And it's a bed and breakfast or guest house or art house, whichever way you want to call it. We decided to finish this house in Charlie's memory. That was our mission, I should say, because he had done such a wonderful job and we wanted to preserve what was good and add to what we could add to make it complete.
And part of the process for Charlie was building those towers, but they were towers to nowhere. You couldn't really go up there, right?
Well, they were just the one that on the front we call a fairy tale tower these days. It was finished. The other ones, the Texas tower suite we call these days, it wasn't finished. It was just the exterior. Others were just an idea. They were not finished at all. I'll show you where the...
Now, what part of the house is this? What do you call this?
We call this common area.
The common area.
Yes. People who stay here enjoy this area, then meeting room, the dining area. We have a nook and what we call the event room on the back. It's all for people's enjoyment. And we have a lot of folks that tell us that they enjoy walking the place, looking at the artwork, looking at all the art collections here. And that makes us feel very, very happy.
And how many guests can you house here at Houston Towers?
We have 8 rooms. And the fullest capacity is 21 person. If they are sharing the bed, then they can.
And is there intense interest to stay here? Do people want to see what this house is about? Or are these mostly travelers who may not know the history of Houston Towers?
Most of the folks who come here, they don't know the history. They do not. They're intrigued by the look at this place. When they find this place online and they decide to choose this particular spot simply because it looks unusual, it looks appealing, and normally we have people who prefer to stay in the bed and breakfast, boutique hotels, and unusual places. Mainstream hotels guests don't select this because it's not what they're after.
And what about you, Natalie? You proud of what you've been able to design and bring to life here?
Absolutely. I'm really happy to hear from the guests how they really enjoy to stay here. They said like every corner have something special. They said we just discover every day something new. That's why we operated like a bed and breakfast or art house, whatever it is.
There you go. And that'll do it for The Factor Uncensored tonight. We want to thank you for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed the program. And we want to remind you to check us out on YouTube at Isiah Factor Uncensored. Also do a little work for us and subscribe as well. And don't forget to follow us on social media, and you can catch us on Fox Soul as well. That'll do it for us. Have a good one.
Noelle, I'm so excited for this. So am I, because you're going to be the cutest little homeowner.
That's what I'm trying to be. All right, as we discussed, girl, and I know you've been killing it. I want like a 3-4 bedroom house, you know, a couple bathrooms,
A couple bathrooms. So you want a 12-foot pond for the alligators? And
no.
Maybe an underground dungeon for the toys? Because I heard how you get down, girl.
No.
Or maybe land for a 727.
What's a 720? Is that a plane?
Girl, that is a plane.
Girl, who are you helping buy homes? I just need a normal house.
Extreme buyers. That's who I'm helping. Extreme Buyers Club. Literally extreme.
That sounds extreme. All right, we need to get into it.
We got to.
Let's get into it. Come on.
Yeah, what's up for a nightcap? Chill, you know, kick back.
I'm known to live a little bit on the wild side. Oh my goodness.
I really need 4 bedrooms. One for myself.
Okay.
One for my kids when they come to visit with the grandkids.
Yes.
And one for the lawn.